They have been able to get away in the past because the music wasn't so hot and maybe the recording wasn't so good, so you're not hearing all the flaws. But now that the music has come up, recordings are clear and you can hear if somebody's out of key and so on. Artists need to know that the voice is an instrument. They have to know how to take care of it. You know, you see some artists smoking, for example, that doesn't help your voice. Artists have to understand they need to undertake voice training. No, that is foreign to a lot of Calypsonians, for example. If you tell them that voice training, well, I win 2 Calypso Monarch already, so how do you mean I need voice training? Yeah. That could be the argument they would put forward. But when you listen to international artists, the recordings, the quality of the voice, how they approach, how they vary their tones, you know, how they breathe to expel, how to deliver words, lyrics, etc., you find that, at least I find, we are very much lacking in that regard.
A few years ago, you had the Doll's House Calypso tent. Was that born out of what you just said? The people have to then improve themselves in the finer parts of the business. Were you then trying to see if you can bring people forward in your way of thinking?
Yes, definitely, partly. But again, as far as I could, meaning in stage appearance and how to deliver in the studio, for example. But on stage is a totally different thing. You don't get to do a second take when you're on stage. So in the studio you can cut and paste, and at the end of the day you come out with a nice product. And you can even fix voices that are off key. So a lot of things are hidden. But when you come out on stage and you have to appear and sing with an accompaniment, with a band that you can't stop and restart and rewind, it exposes a lot of our singers. And but the talent is there, so it is very encouraging. The talent is there, but the artists just have to recognize, if they are objective, that the voicing needs a lot to be desired.
We keep hearing the phrase that the talent is here, is we have talent. But what are we going to do with that talent?
Well, as I started to say, we have to find ways of enhancing and exposing the talent. You have to start, one way is by having trained managers, trained agents, trained publishers. These people ought to know what to do so they can approach artists who they think have potential and say to them, yes, Sippy, I think you have some potential, but you need to do X, Y, Z, and we could work together. So you need to have experts, preferably local experts, trained in the business, because music is a business. And there are too many, in my mind, that claim to be managers, etc. They may know a little bit about it, but you really have to study, you really have to be knowledgeable in order to be a competent manager or agent or any of the other facilities involved in music production.
As a hit maker, someone who arranges and writes the music and so on, do you think the demise, to sort of, for want of a better word, of the tents is detrimental to the development of the music scene here?
Well, it makes it more difficult. It means we have to work harder. I believe you didn't hear on the radio the songs that you would hear in the tent. But there's a different mindset these days. Most of the artists want to hear themselves on the radio, no matter what the song is. So as soon as they record, they go to the radio station to get the songs played. So there is not much incentive in my mind. Nobody holds back something for the tent that you could only hear in the tent. You know, there used to be certain songs, adult type songs, and other songs that you heard only in the tent. So you heard people talking about it, and you said, well, I have to go to the tent to hear this song about whatever the topic of the day was. but there isn't that anymore. So that may be one of the reasons, and there may be others. Maybe the cost of managing a tent has escalated, and there may be other factors involved. Venues, I know, are in short supply, good venues.
You said that regardless how good or bad a song might be, everybody wants their stuff to be on radio. But once it gets on the radio, are there any rewards for that artist?
Not monetarily, but let me say that some artists, their reward is just hearing themselves on the radio.
When I go to studios and put out my tune, I expect them people to listen to that tune. I put it out because I want my friends them to like it, not just put out any old thing that man don't like. I like my tune. I like people to say, well, yo, so I have something bad this year. So I have something nice this year. You don't got something that nobody do appreciate. I want people to appreciate that tune. So when I do my tune, I expect to get big things from it. I expect to go far with it and sing for other people. I expect to go right around the world with it.
They feel proud. Their friends say, hey, I heard you on the radio today, you sound bad. You know, that seems to be enough reward for some of them. But obviously there's much more. You see, if you're a serious artist, you're looking for much more than that. That could be the first step. Yes. So people get to know the artist, him or herself. But you want to go much beyond that. And I think, for example, this issue or business of copyright will go a long way to helping the artists recognize and realize that what they do has value, has worth. You know, this intellectual property business, we at the Copyright Organization have been doing and will continue to do a lot of work educating people, because we have determined that it is lack of information, lack of education. People have a hard time understanding why they can't record somebody's song and sell. You know, even if they buy the CD, they figure the CD, that is theirs. They paid $40 for it, so they could do what they want with it. But that's not how it works. Somebody owns that. And just like you can't come in here and take my keyboard and I can't take your camera, then we have to get people to understand it's the very same thing if you record somebody's music without authorization. It's stealing. So once that recognition gets into the public and to the artists themselves, they will begin to appreciate that, hey, what I do has value, and they themselves now have to demand more in terms of compensation for their work. And the copyright will go a long way, because it is anticipated within the next month or so we should be registering persons who have original works, and the idea is that when the work is used, that has to be documented, and royalties will come their way.
As a hit maker, an arranger, producer, writer, musician, what advice would you give to people who are in the business and those who have intentions of coming into the business?
Well, for both groups that you just mentioned, I would suggest, first, you need to be knowledgeable about the business of music. There's a lot of information available about music, and it needs to be taken seriously if one needs to be successful. You have to be prepared for hard work, and success will come in due course. The other thing you need to do is to be aware of your rights, and one of the major ones is copyright. You need to know what is due to you in terms of copyright, related rights, neighboring rights, and you also need to be aware of what obtains in the business. If you are a guitar player, you need to know who the guitar players are in the industry. You need to have an idea of what their professional level is, and you need to know, or you need to strive to get to a higher level than you are at. And you can never stop improving. I've thought I've improved over the years, and I know that there's quite a lot that I still have to learn.
Peter from Great Kings of Africa Recording Studio, thank you very much for being on Hitmakers.
Thank you for having me, Sippy.